Hey, you're welcome once again to this channel. I want to speak today on ISA 220 quality control for an audit of financial statements. So for auditors, this particular standard is very important, okay, because it provides guidance for the financial auditor on ensuring that there is appropriate quality control in the course of an audit engagement. Okay, so scope of this international standard on auditing. This international standard on auditing deals with the specific responsibilities of the auditor regarding quality management at the engagement level for an audit of financial statements and the related responsibilities of the engagement partner. So when an audit firm gets an assurance engagement or an audit job, okay, so the quality processes that must be integrated into the assignment, that is what this standard is all about. So this international standard on auditing is to be read in conjunction with relevant ethical requirements. Okay, so that is what paragraph 1 says. So you cannot, once again, I'm emphasizing, like I've said in other videos on international standard on auditing, you cannot use a standard in isolation. All right, so you have to look at other relevant standards and other relevant ethical pronouncements. Okay, so that is the scope of the standard. The firm's system of quality management and role of engagement teams. All right, so under ISQM 1, so we have international standard on quality management 1. Okay, the objective of the audit firm, is to design, implement, and operate a system of quality management for audits or reviews of financial statements or other assurance or related services engagement performed by the firm that provides the firm with reasonable assurance that the firm and its personnel fulfill their responsibilities in accordance with professional standards and applicable legal and regulatory requirements and conduct engagement in accordance with such standards and requirements. So basically, we have two standards of quality management. Basically, we have ISTM 1 and we have this other standard ISA 220. So ISTM 1 generally covers quality management, quality control in an audit firm generally, right? Quality management you need to implement in your audit firm or in your audit department. Okay, while ISA 220 has to do with quality management for an audit engagement. All right, so it's just like what we say in IT, IT audits, where you have the general controls, then you have application controls under the general controls. So ISKM 1 is like the general controls, while ISA 220 is like the application control. Okay, so within an audit engagement, apply ISA 220. All right, for the entire audit firm, apply ISKM 1. Okay, so please take note. So B, engagement reports issued by the firm or engagement partners are appropriate in the circumstances. All right, so because we are following quality management processes prescribed by ISKM 1, we are following quality management processes prescribed by ISA 220, then we can have guarantee, we can have assurance, we can have comfort in your engagement report, right, because of those quality management processes. That is what we is talking about. Okay, the engagement team led by the engagement partner is responsible within the context of the firm's system of quality management and through complying with the requirements of this international standard in auditing. Right? 4. So the responsibility of the engagement team that is being led by the engagement partner, right, covers the following: implementing the firm's responses to quality risks, that is the firm's policies or procedures that are applicable to the engagement using information communicated by or obtained from the firm. So he's saying that you need to have policies, all right? The audit firms must have policies. If you check ISPM 1, you also see that also. So every audit firm should have, guiding policies, guiding procedures to directs the behavior, actions, and actions of the auditors. B, given the nature and circumstances of the audit engagement, determining whether to design and implement responses at the engagement level beyond those in the firm's policies or procedures. So we already said for an audit firm, you are supposed to have, corporate um, policies, but due to maybe the specialty or uniqueness of a particular audit engagement, there may be a need to have, specific policies or specific procedures to guide that audit. All right, maybe for example, now you are doing audit in your country, in your local environment, then suddenly you go to an audit engagement in another continent, all right, or in another country. Okay, so of course, the environment is different, the legal environment is different, regulatory environment is different. You may have to come up with a policy statement, a procedural statement for that engagement alone. That is what B is talking about. C, communicating to the firm information from the audit engagement that is required to be communicated by the firm's policies or procedures to support the design, implementation, and operation of the firm system of quality management. All right, so it's not enough to have policies or procedures. Those policies and procedures must be communicated to the auditors or to the officers that those policies are meant to affect. Okay, so that is paragraph 4 of the ISA 220. All right, the firms, so complying with the requirements in other ISAs may provide information that is relevant to quality management. That's paragraph 5. Keep on saying it. You cannot implement or you cannot conform or comply with an ISA in isolation. So you have to look at what other standards, right, are also saying about the audit engagement. Paragraph 6, the public interest is served by the consistent performance of quality audit engagement through achieving the objective of this standard and other ISAs for each engagement. And so of course, we know that the auditor is working as a public officer. I've talked about the agency problem earlier in ISA 200. Okay, so we have the agents who are the directors of the organization. We have the principals who are the owners or the shareholders of the business, and kind of now, mediating between the two of them is the assurance practitioner of the auditor, right? Ensuring that the public interest is protected. And that is why, quality management is quality control is very important, right, in public engagement, because you're not just representing the owners of the business, also representing public interest. Okay, in accordance with ISA 200, the engagement team is required to plan and perform an audit with professional skepticism and to exercise professional judgment. Okay, so if you have not watched my video on IC 200, it's available in the channel. You can just search for it. And also, if you have not just subscribed to this channel, please try and do so. All right, so IC 200 talk about auditing with professional skepticism. So professional skepticism means that you don't take everything at face value. Right, you go for an audit with expectation, that something could go wrong. Not everything that is given to you might be correct. So you have to validate. We're not saying you should go with the mind of you, hey, you guys are safe. No, that's not what we're talking about. But you should have the consciousness that as auditors, you are being hired, all right, to discover or to uncover irregularities. All right, and to exercise professional judgment. In the video on IC 200, I mentioned that professional judgment is influenced by your education, by your training, by your experience, by your qualifications, all right, and of course also by integrity. Okay, so you have to make judgment very carefully with due professional care, right, in the course of an audit. Okay, so that is also a very, very important consideration. Okay. Then let's talk about scalability. So this scalability aspect is talking about the fact that the requirement of the standard should be scalable depending on the size of the audit firm and the rest. All right. So The requirements of this ISA are intended to be applied in the context of the nature and circumstances of each audit, right? So no two audits are alike. So some requirement may be applicable in audit A, may not be applicable in audit B. That's what scalability is referring to. So for example, when an audit is carried out entirely by the engagement partner, which may be the case for an audit of a less complex entity, some requirements in these ISAs are not relevant because they are conditional on the involvement of other members of the engagement. So you have maybe two partners and the two of them are the entire audit team, and they are the ones that are going to run the entire audit project. So in that case, so you have just two people and two of them are co-partners. You can't be talking of the supervision. That will not be necessary. All right. So that is what they are saying here. Then B, when an audit is not carried out entirely by the engagement partner or in an audit of an entity whose nature and circumstances are more complex, the engagement partner may assign the design, the performance of some procedures, tasks, or actions to other members of the engagement team. So if, for example, you have the big four now, for example, okay, so maybe audit engagements in Ernst and Young or in PwC, okay, KPMG and the rest of them. So you see, those are very complex audit structure. So definitely there is going to be some kind of delegation of authorities and the responsibilities and the rest. So definitely you have a lot of the requirement of this kind becoming applicable. Okay. The engagement partner's responsibility. So the engagement partner remains ultimately responsible, right, and therefore accountable for compliance with the requirements of this ISA. So for ISA 220, the bulk lies on the table of the engagement partner. So the term the engagement partner shall take responsibility for is used for those requirements that the engagement partner is permitted to assign the design of performance of procedures, tasks, or actions to appropriately skilled or suitably experienced members of the engagement team. So you can delegate, no problem, but you are going to be held accountable for the delegation, all right, as an engagement partner. That is what that paragraph is talking about. Objective. The objective of the auditor in ISA 220 is to manage quality at the engagement level to obtain reasonable assurance that quality has been achieved, such that A, the auditor has fulfilled the auditor's responsibilities and has conducted the audit in accordance with professional standards and applicable legal and regulatory requirements. So you have done your job, you have ticked the boxes, all right? Tick the checklist as an auditor. You have conducted the audit in accordance with the requirements of ISAs, in accordance with requirements of the law and the regulatory authorities. All right. The auditor's report issued is appropriate in the certain classes. So, of course, we'll talk about audit risk as we continue. In fact, I have audit risk is one of my videos in this channel. So you can just search the channel. You're going to see my video on audit risk. All right, so we want to ensure that the auditor's report, auditor's opinion, auditor's conclusion is actually reliable. Okay, so that is another objective. Okay, let's talk about leadership. Leadership responsibility for managing and achieving quality on audit. The engagement partner shall take overall responsibility for managing and achieving quality on the audit engagement, including taking responsibility for creating an environment for the engagement that emphasizes the firm's culture and expected behavior of engagement team members. So accountability is also for the engagement partner here in creating the right culture, creating an environment for the right behavior, right attitude, right approach to audit engagement in the audit firm. So in doing so, the engagement partner shall be sufficiently and appropriately involved throughout the audit engagement so that the engagement partner has the basis for determining whether the significant judgment made and the conclusions reached are appropriate given the nature and circumstances of the engagement. So you cannot have an aloof engagement partner. You cannot have a sleeping engagement partner. You have been appointed as engagement partner for engagement, you must be active throughout, right? So you need to be able to be involved in decision making actions, all right, professional judgment, and testings and the result of testing, and of course, you are ultimately responsible and accountable for the audit opinion. All right. In creating the environment described in paragraph 13, the engagement partner shall take responsibility for clear, consistent, and effective actions being taken that reflect the firm's commitment to quality and establish and communicate the expected behavior of engagement team members, including emphasizing A, that all engagement team members are responsible for contributing to the management and achievement of quality at the engagement level. So once you are assigned, okay, either as a senior or as a junior or as a manager or a deputy manager, all right, in an audit engagement, everybody is responsible to ensure that we don't allow um, we don't allow wrong practices, all right, or ethical practices, okay, in the audit assignment. B, the importance of professional ethics, values, and attitudes to the members of the engagement. So we have talked more about professional ethics in subsequent videos. Okay, so we will need to take the issue of ethics seriously. Our values as an audit firm, all right, that has to be communicated and embodied by every member of the team. C, the importance of open and robust communication within the engagement team and supporting the ability of the engagement team members to raise concerns without fear of reprisals. Now, so people should be free to talk, right? So you in an audit firm, okay, on an audit engagement, if you see something, say something, somebody is trying to bribe you, somebody is trying to intimidate you, right, on the job, on an audit engagement, right, sharp, okay? Then the importance of each engagement team member exercising professional skepticism throughout the engagement. I've talked about professional skepticism already, so it can save a life, quote unquote, in every audit. All right, approaching the audit carefully, approaching the audit with a questioning mind. All right, approaching the audit, all right, with with an inquiry mind, a mind that asks questions, a mind that check and recheck, that validate every information that is given in the course of the audit. Okay, so this is also part of the requirement uh, for quality to ensure that the audit is done, the audit is done the right way. Okay, relevant ethical requirements, including those related to independence. The given partner shall have an understanding of relevant ethical requirements, including those related to independence that are applicable given the nature and circumstances of the engagement. You cannot, there is no audit without independence of the audit firm, without independence of the audit engagement team. And so the engagement partner needs to ensure that that independence requirement is met, and also the ethical requirements, right? We are said, like I said in subsequent video, I will look at the ethical requirements. Okay, maybe I will use that on my time on the ACCA, okay, to come to train on these ethical requirements. Okay, then the engagement partner shall take responsibility for other members of the engagement team having been made aware of relevant ethical requirements that are applicable given the nature and circumstances of the audit engagement and the firm's related policies or procedures, including those that address identifying, evaluating, addressing threats to compliance with relevant ethical requirements, including those related to independence. This is a very interesting topic. All right, threats to independence. There's many of them. You have threats like intimidation, self-interest, self-review, okay, familiarity. All these are threats to independence, and so the engagement partner needs to watch out for all those threats in the course of audit engagement and make decisions on how to respond to those threats. All right, B, circumstances that may cause a breach of relevant ethical requirements, all right, including those related to dependence and the responsibilities of members of the engagement team when they become aware of such breaches. Okay, in the course of the audits, like I said before, threats to independence may emerge. All right, an auditing member may be found to be unsuitable. All right, maybe there was a wrong decision made. All right, and that person cannot fit into that audit. These issues come up, in audit engagement, and you have to make decisions. Okay, so the engagement partner need to watch out for such circumstances. All right. Uh, See, the responsibility of members of the engagement team when they become aware of an instance of non-compliance with laws and regulations by the entity. So what do? You just discover that the company you're auditing is funding terrorism, or the company you're auditing is involved in perhaps money laundering. Okay, in money laundering, at least I'm familiar with the Money Laundering Prohibition Act in Nigeria, right? For you to be, even when you are suspicious, not that you are just, you have confirmed that the company is doing money laundering. Suspicion of money laundering, you must report. All right, so that is a very, very technical, area of law that auditors have to be very aware of, so that you don't run into trouble with the government. Okay, so when those issues come up, they need to be escalated to the engagement partner, so that the engagement partner can make a decision. Okay, that is also very important. If matters come to the agreement partner's attention that indicate that a threat to comply with relevant ethical requirements exists, the agreement partner shall evaluate the threats through complying with the firm's policies or procedures, using relevant information from the firm, the engagement team, or other sources, and take appropriate action. So, like I said, you just discover that the company you are auditing is involved in money laundering. Right. So you have to look at your policies, the policies of your organization. You have to look at relevant legal provisions. Maybe most audit firms now have, at least many of them that now have a legal team. Of course, or sometimes they have this the legal firm, all right, that they are subscribed to. So it helps. So you can consult, get advice, so that you can make a decision in a situation like that. The engagement partner shall remain alert throughout the engagement through observation and making inquiries as necessary for breaches of relevant ethical requirements for the firm-related policies or procedures by members of the engagement team, right? So we say we cannot have a sleeping engagement partner, we cannot have an aloof engagement partner in the course of an audit. Acceptance and continuous of client relationships and audit engagement. So the engagement partner shall determine the firm's policies and procedures for the acceptance and continuance of client relationships and audit engagements have been followed and the conclusions which we use to guide our audit. We cannot accept every of the engagement. All right. We talked about in ISO 410, okay, you can check the channel for that video. We talked about preconditions for an audit. So certain conditions must be met before you can accept an audit engagement, and certain conditions, and those conditions must continue to be met before you can continue, all right, for incurring audits. Okay, if you have not checked that video, you can check my channel. You see that video on my tutorial 10 there. Okay, so you need to be able to have guarantees, have assurance that yes, this audit is worth it. So it's not every contract that you are offered you just take, okay, because some contracts can lead to trouble for an audit firm later. Okay, so it is the job of the engagement partner to decide whether accepting an audit engagement will breach the firm's policy or not. All right, the engagement partner should take into account information obtained in the acceptance and continuance process in planning and performing the audit engagement in accordance with the international standard on auditing and complying with the requirements of the international standards. Okay, engagement resources. The engagement partner shall determine that sufficient and appropriate resources to perform the engagement are assigned or made available to the engagement team in a timely manner, taking into account the nature and circumstances of the audit engagement, the firm's policies or procedures, and anything that may arise from the engagement. So every audit will require resources. Of course, you will need money, right? All right. There may be a need to mobilize for logistics, travel, accommodation, even feeding of your team. What about software, audit tool, all right, sampling tool, okay? Um, so a lot of resources are needed, okay, in audits, okay. So are those resources, are they available? All right, subordinates might require forensic investigations as part of their evidence gathering, all right, procedures. So we need to be able to, during engagement planning, we need to be able to have determine the engagement resources and ensure those resources are available. If you don't have those resources, the audit is going to end up as a mess. All right. The engagement partner shall determine that members of the engagement team and any auditors, external experts, and internal auditors who provide direct assistance who are not part of the engagement team collectively have the appropriate competence and capabilities, including sufficient time to perform the audit engagement. So that is also important. Competence of your team. Part of your resources are your people. Right? In fact, they are your most important resource. Okay, so they have to be competent, they have to be capable, and they need to be able to have enough man hours to dedicate to the audit engagement. Okay, so that is also an important consideration. If as a result of complying with the requirements in paragraph 25 and 26, the engagement partner determines that resources assigned or made available are insufficient or inappropriate in the circumstances of the engagement, the engagement partner shall take appropriate action, including communicating with appropriate individuals about the need to assign or make available additional or alternative resources to the engagement. So if you discover there is a shortfall, all right, that's why I always say that in auditing, project management skills are important. Okay, every auditor should actually have a project management certification. Even if you don't have certification, go and read up a PM book, project management body of knowledge. Okay, it will really go a long way. So resource management is also part of your project management. So if you're going to have a shortfall, then you need to take action to address that shortfall. Okay, that is what I was talking about. Paragraph 29, 30, direction, supervision, and review. Very important. So paragraph 39 says the engagement partner shall take responsibility for the direction, supervision of the members of the engagement team and review the work. So like I've said before, you cannot have a sleeping engagement partner. So the engagement partner must direct, all right, give direction, all right, course of action to the team members and supervise them and ensure that their work is reviewed. Okay, paragraph 30. The engagement partner shall determine that the nature, timing, and extent of direction, supervision, and review is A. Planned and performed in accordance with the first policies of procedures, professional standards, and applicable legal and regulatory requirements. So we need to already have a policy in place, all right, by the firm on supervision or review, okay, as per engagement uh, uh, that is being executed, all right, or contracted to the other firm. Okay, so the planning, the performance, the review, the supervision must be done with the auditing audit firm's policies. B. Responsive to the nature and circumstances of the audit engagement and the resources assigned or made available to the engagement team by the firm. Like I said, no two audit engagements are the same. So the level of supervision, the level of review must be customized, must be bespoke, right? According to the requirement, particular requirement of an audit. Okay, engagement performance. The engagement partner shall review audit documentation at appropriate points in time during the audit engagement, including audit documentation relating to significant matters. So what are the significant matters that have arisen in the course of the audit? All right, the engagement partner must keep checking them throughout the course of the audit. Significant judgments that are made, all right. So that people know they're going to make, the auditors are going to make judgments, all right. Whether to, for example, the level of substantive testing required, all right. These are professional judgments that will be made, okay, and those judgments must be validated, okay, by the engagement partner. So significant judgment, including those related to difficult or contentious matters identified during the audit engagement, and the conclusions with. So significant judgment must also be validated by the engagement partners. All right, other matters that in the engagement partner's professional judgment are relevant to the engagement partner's responsibility. So the engagement partner is responsible for monitoring, reviewing, all right, the documentation relating to significant matters, significant judgments, and other matters that are relevant to the for the attention of the engagement partners in the course of the audit. On or before the date of the auditor's report, the engagement partner shall determine through review of audit documentation and discussion with the engagement team that sufficient appropriate audit evidence has been obtained to support the conclusions which have the auditor's report to be issued. Like I said before, what validates your auditor's report is your evidence. Okay, so you don't want to submit audit report and people are querying, people are questioning it after you have submitted it. So the auditor, the engagement partner must, review, the entire report and ensure that every conclusion, every opinion is backed by appropriate sufficient audit evidence. Okay. Then prior to dating the auditor's report, the engagement partner shall review the financial statements and the auditor's report, including, if applicable, descriptions of the key audit matters and related audit documentation to determine that the report will be issued with the appropriate circumstances. So we are still, it's part of quality control. Look at the financial statement, look at the auditor's report. Is there a sync, all right, between the financial statement and the auditor's report? So it's also the job of the engagement partner to check just before, dating the auditor's report and signing off, confirm that everything is in order. All right, the engagement partner shall review prior to their issuance formal written communications to management, those start with governance or regulatory authorities. Consultation. This is paragraph 35 of the standard. The engagement partner shall take responsibility for the engagement team undertaking consultation on difficult or contentious matters and matters on which the firm's policies or procedures require consultation. Okay, so every other firm need to have, like a body of other audit firms you are also working with. Okay, ICANN is there also as a regulatory supervisory body, as they are called RSBs. So sometimes you may need to consult, all right, with your supervising accounting umbrella body or peer audit firm in certain issues that are very difficult when you encounter them in the course of the audit engagement. Other matters that the engagement partner's professional judgment require consultation. B. Determine that members of the engagement team have undertaken appropriate consultation during the audit engagement, both within the engagement team and between the engagement team and others at the appropriate level within or outside the firm. All right. Then C. Determine that the nature and scope of and conclusions resulting from such consultations are agreed with the party consulted and determine that conclusions agreed have been implemented. So, as part of your quality management procedures, you need to consult. When you come across difficult matters, contentious matters, all right, or areas whereby you want to revalidate, your conclusion, right, the standard allows you to consult within the firm and even outside the firm. Okay, engagement quality review. For all the engagement for which an engagement quality review is required, the engagement partner shall A. Determine that an engagement quality reviewer has been appointed. B. Cooperate with the engagement quality reviewer and inform other members of the engagement team of their responsibility to do so. C. Discuss significant matters and significant judgment arising during the engagement, including those identified during the engagement quality review with the engagement quality reviewer. All right. So as part of your quality management, you may have engagement quality reviewer apart from the engagement partner for certain audit engagements. All right. So as another level of check, and what this paragraph is saying, once you have appointed an engagement quality reviewer, allow him or her to do their job. All right, everybody should cooperate. Suggestions, comments raised, issues raised, all right, must be followed up by the audit team. Okay, so that is also very important. Then not the doctor's report on until the completion of the engagement quality review. Okay, um, differences of opinion, which is also possible. If that's paragraph 37 of the standard. If differences of opinion arise within the engagement team or between the engagement team and the engagement quality reviewer or individuals performing activities within the firm system of quality management, including those who provide consultation, the engagement team shall follow the firm's policies or procedures for dealing with and resolving such differences of opinion. Okay, maybe the engagement team have taken an action or made a professional judgment, and the engagement quality reviewer is querying it that maybe it's not in line with best practices. All right. So one of the either parties may be wrong, or both of them are wrong. Okay, so we need to carefully resolve it. That's what paragraph 37 is saying. The engagement partner shall A, take responsibility for differences of opinion being addressed and resolved in accordance with the firm's policies or procedure. So it's not really a matter of who is. You don't want to use, kind of, personality clash. Let's do this. Let's agree together to resolve it, the difference, right? Uh, to the advantage of the firm and the client. Okay, determine that conclusions which are documented and implemented, not the auditor's report until any differences of opinion are resolved. So most of the time, on the field, standards, that's why you have standards, all right? That's why you have other firms, that's why you have regulatory supervisory bodies. So sometimes like that, when you have differences of opinion, let's look at what the standards is. All right, so let's look at the relevant standards. Let's look at the relevant uh, uh, framework, right? And if that does not solve it, let's push it to the regulatory supervisory bodies. And ensure that we resolve the difference, right? And we document what the final conclusion is. Okay. Monitoring and remediation, paragraph 39. The given partner shall take responsibility for A, obtaining an understanding of the information from the firm's monitoring and remediation process as communicated by the firm, including as applicable the information from the monitoring and remediation process of the network and across the network firm. So you also need to have processes for monitoring, all right, the audit engagements. And of course, not only just monitoring, you have to remediate, okay? If, maybe you find that things are not being done the right way. For example, maybe documentation, right? Auditors are just working, they're not documenting, as appropriate. So monitoring can show gaps in the audit engagement and we remediate that. B, determine the relevance and effect on the audit engagement of the information referred to in paragraph 39A and take appropriate action. C, remaining alert throughout the audit engagement for information that may be relevant to the firm's monitoring and remediation process and communicate such information to those responsible for the process. So monitoring is also very important as part of the quality check. All right, taking over responsibility for managing and achieving quality, that's paragraph 40. Prior to dating the auditor's report, the engagement partner shall determine that the engagement partner has taken over responsibility for managing and achieving quality on the audit engagement. Okay, in doing so, the engagement partner shall determine that A, the engagement partner's involvement has been sufficient and appropriate throughout the audit engagement so that the engagement partner has the basis for determining that the significant judgment made and conclusions reached are appropriate given the nature and circumstances of the engagement. So you don't want to sign, an audit report that you are not even aware of what was done. So this paragraph is emphasizing that engagement partner, if this thing go wrong, it is you that everybody will be responsible. So you have to check and recheck everything that is being done before you sign. The nature and circumstances of the audit engagement and any changes thereto and the fact-related policies or procedures have been taken into account in complying with the requirements of these standards. All right, documentation, that's paragraph 41. In applying ISO 230, all right, the auditor shall include in the audit documentation. Now, this is talking about quality control, quality management as per documentation. A, matters identified, relevant discussions with personnel, conclusions with respect to one, all right, fulfillment of responsibilities relating to relevant ethical requirements, including those related to independence. So what the auditors have done to ensure that they comply with ethical requirements, what they have done to ensure they comply with requirements for independence, they have to document it too. All right, the acceptance and continuance of the client relationship and audit engagement. The basis for accepting the engagement, audit engagement, the basis for continuing, all right, with the audit engagement, we have to also document that also. B, the nature and scope of and conclusions resulting from consultations undertaken during the audit engagement and how such conclusions were implemented. So your consultation with relevant audit firms, with ICANN, with ACCA, right, with other bodies as relevant, you have to document those consultations and how the results were implemented. If the audit engagement is subject to an engagement quality review, that the engagement quality review has been completed on or before the date of the auditor's report. So show evidence that yes, the work of the engagement quality reviewer was considered before submitting or before signing the auditor's report. So ladies and gentlemen, that is that with this wonderful standard, which is meant to ensure quality management in every audit that an audit firm actually engages in. It's a very interesting and very powerful standard actually in the course of audit risk and the auditor's liability, which is also another interesting topic that we'll talk about in subsequent videos. So please, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please kindly do so. I will be dropping other videos for international standard in auditing very soon. Thank you.